So Ken Burns, legendary documentarian, focuses specifically on American history. He's made tons and tons of films. I think most recently he put a series on Netflix about the Vietnam War. Go check it out.
But we also think that history is something sort of safely to be toyed with, as a kind of avocation. But we talk about cycles of history. I do not believe there are any cycles of history. We talk about George Santayana's famous thing, we're condemned to repeat what we don't remember. I think it's a beautiful phrase and makes no sense whatsoever. Ecclesiastes...
What's it, Washington you quote Mark Twain and then say he didn't say it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite of those.
That's he's often saying that things where he attribute to people stuff that he didn't say. But the Santayana phrase is right. Ecclesiastes says, what has been will be again, what has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. And what that says is that human nature never changes. It superimposes itself on the random chaos of events, which means you can perceive patterns in history, and that makes it resonate with the past, the present resonate with the past, and that these become conversations by engaging the past. As you know, as well as anyone in this room, you're speaking also about a vastly complicated present, and because we think the past is fixed, the present is sort of malleable, and the future is unknown, it's actually in some ways a little bit the opposite. The past remains malleable as new interpretations, new memories, false memories, other things arise. And so we're constantly trying to figure out what happened before so that we could we could triangulate more precisely where we are now.
So right here you have a very interesting point when it comes to filmmaking in general, but also documentary filmmaking for a couple reasons. The first reason being everything is pretty subjective when you're a director. So most of the time when you're making a documentary, you're either documenting something as it happens and then creating a full story about it after the fact, or you're going back in history and making a story about something that already happened. Either way, when you're in the editing room, you're creating something that hasn't happened yet. I'm just talking specifically about documentary. So there's always a little bit of malleability in the storytelling, because when we tell stories, it's to take a small chunk of life and make sense of it in some way that creates a theme and a moral and a takeaway and an emotional roller coaster, right? So there's always some aspect of making a documentary that gives the director some kind of power to bend things to make their own truth, if that makes sense. Like, if the lesson is true, then the story has truth to it that is relatable in some sense. Obviously, I'm not saying go make a movie and lie about the past. Obviously, that's not even really possible, and I would never say that in that way. But the point is, when you're creating a piece of content or a story, really, you have to take this message and then take all of the evidence that you have, footage, interviews, audio, pictures, archival footage, and take all that and trim all the fat until you have this singular message that's made of historical evidence, basically. So that's why it's so malleable, because things come into play that maybe people didn't know, or there's different people's perspectives that can't be determined as fact. But it's all this big blurb of footage, basically finely tuned into this story. So that's basically what Ken Burns is saying here. History is constantly basically being rewritten as we gather more information, and it's kind of our job as documentary filmmakers to take all that subjective matter and turn it into this objective story that's entertaining and shares a message. This is exactly what I'm trying to do with the documentary that I just went and filmed in New York City about a professional MMA fighter who had a big fight in Madison Square Garden under the Bellator card that they had in the summer of 2018, I want to say. So basically, I'm literally doing just that. We're telling it's something that already happened in the past, and we went and we asked a bunch of people a bunch of questions, and we got all this footage about it, and we're going to kind of recreate this thing that already happened, but we're going to try to freeze that time a little bit and make this cohesive message and story. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now in my own documentary filmmaking process, and I find this very interesting. I look up to Ken Burns a lot in this aspect. So if this clip helped you guys, make sure you guys like and subscribe, share this with a friend who might be interested, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't miss out. Join the community. Thuzy. I should be wearing the Thuzy sweatshirt. I'm going to wear that in the next video. But yeah, subscribe.